Hey guys, it's Aiko with Shua Girl. I'm an American English pronunciation coach based in Hawaii. So thank you very much for checking out my YouTube videos. So I have a special guest today who is Helen Iwata. And Helen, so would you please tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And I know you said you're in Hawaii, so I did bring at the side of me this hibiscus because I thought I'd give a little bit of the tropical look, although it's not blooming at the moment, but just imagine beautiful flowers. So yeah, I'm a communication skills coach and I'm based in Tokyo, originally from the UK, and I work primarily with Japanese people in a global business environment, although I do also serve people of other nationalities. For example, I've been coaching a French CEO, Australians, and all sorts of different nationalities.
Wow, thank you. So I wanted to have you as a special guest because, you are primarily working with Japanese business people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you like a few questions, how we Japanese can improve our communication skills in English.
Mm-hmm.
So would you please tell me like the tips for Japanese to improve communication skills in English?
Okay. So there's one really, really big one. And we talked about this. So we did do a video a little while ago, and maybe you can tell people about that too, because they can get some tips from there. But the big one that I also mentioned at that time is practice. Right? So it's actually just practice is the main thing. You can't expect to be good at something if you don't do it. It's like babies walking. Babies will start walking and they'll fall over, but they don't give up. They keep on going. They don't say, oh, I'm not good at this. Whereas what I see all the time with people, and I'm not just picking on Japanese people here because it's the same for anyone learning another language, is it takes time. And so it's easy to say, oh, I'm not good at this and want to give up. You've got to keep practicing. All right, so that's the main thing. And then I would say, think about, if you're talking about communication, are you thinking that you want to improve your speaking, your listening, your reading, or your writing? Okay, and then which is the most important for you, and start there and make some small progress there. So if we talk about speaking, for example, you're going to need to look for opportunities to speak. So are there some groups that you could join? Are there colleagues that you could speak more with? When I first came to Japan, I was really insistent on speaking Japanese, even though a lot of people wanted to practice their English with me. So if you're, if you use Japanese, look for opportunities to speak English with English-speaking people. And then, so that was speaking and listening. It's so great these days. We have so many opportunities to listen to different languages. Podcasts, that's my biggest recommendation for everyone. But also, for example, YouTube, you don't have to be watching. You can be just listening. So this is something I do a lot, is when it can be for language or it can be for just learning other information, is that I'll be doing something like some housework or whatever it is, and I'll be listening at the same time. So you can use your time really, really efficiently that way too. So we've done speaking, listening, reading. Well, there are so many opportunities to read these days. I mean, when I first started with Japanese many, many, many years ago, there were very few resources available to me. It was before we had the internet and there was only physical books, and I was in the UK, so there weren't many of them. But today there's no excuse. If you're learning English, it's everywhere on the internet. So plenty of opportunities, find things that you are interested in and just keep doing it. Repetition is the mother of all learning. And the last one is writing. So if it's writing that you want to improve, write. That's, that's the way to do it. And one thing that I recommend, and I used to do this as well when I was first learning Japanese, is to write a diary, or in American English, I think it's a journal in English. And you don't need to worry about getting it perfect and do I know the exact right words and is the grammar okay? It doesn't matter. It's just the practice, and the more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. So those are the 4 tips for, really decide which is it that you want to focus on first, the speaking, the listening, the reading, or the writing, and make some progress in that area first, and then that will gradually help you with other areas.
Thank you. So for Japanese people, do you have any area that you recommend that they start first, or they should not focus, but they should work on all the skills?
Well, I wouldn't work on all of them. I would say there's 2 ways that you can choose. One is, what do you most need? For example, if you're using this in business and you have to speak, if you have to speak up, then you want to start practicing the speaking. Or, if you write a lot of emails in your business in English, then maybe practice that first. So it could be what you need, but also it can be what you're most interested in. Like, of those ones, which are you excited about or more excited about? And start there, because we learn better when we're having fun. So if you're enjoying it, you're more likely to actually keep doing it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I like what I'm interested in, right? So I totally get that. Yeah, thank you very much for the tip. And how about, are there things that you recommend that Japanese people avoid to do when it comes to communicating in English?
Okay, so this is one huge one. This is the only one that you need to remember, is avoid comparing yourself with other people. Right? This is massive. This is massive. And a lot of it is, what I find with the clients that I work with, is it's not really about the English competence, the ability in English. It's about the person's mindset and how they're thinking. And when they're telling themselves, oh, that person's better at speaking English than me, or that person seems more confident, then that holds them back. So you don't have to speak perfect English at all. It's more about just the communication. And even when you compare yourself with other people, you don't know how long that person has been practicing, how much effort they've put into it. So why would you compare yourself with someone else that you don't really even know about?
Yeah, wow, thank you. That's something, well, you live in Japan, so you probably know how Japanese people compare a lot of things, right?
Yeah, and it's not just Japanese. It's actually really, really common. In fact, I interviewed a guest for my podcast, Jim Fortin, and he was talking about this concept of I'm not good enough. So many of my Japanese clients come to me at the beginning, and they really, they basically admit that they feel that they're not good enough in so many ways. And, we talked about this a little bit in the interview with Jim, and he said, if I had $1 for every time I hear that, and he's not working so much with Japanese people, he works with people from around the world. So I said, I just want to be really clear about this, because a lot of people in Japan, or Japanese people, think it's a Japanese thing, but it's not. It's something that is natural as human beings, that we compare ourselves with other people and we think that we're not good enough because we want to fit in with the group.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, well, it's hard to think that oh, I'm good enough. It's really hard, but yeah, this is definitely we want to start thinking that, we should think that, I'm good enough. But at the same time, we can improve and then work on it, right? So that's, yeah.
That's it. It's okay, where I am now is good. I've worked hard to get to where I am now. Or maybe I didn't, but this is where I am now. And then, what can I do next? There's always room to improve.
Right. Wow. Thank you. How about, are there things that you recommend that Japanese people do when it comes to communicating in English?
Okay, so let's talk about specifically if we're talking about face-to-face communication. Does that make sense? Because we talked about the other, written or whatever. But if we're talking face-to-face communication, I like to categorize it into 3 areas. So it's what's your content, what's your body language doing, and what's your voice doing. Right, so it's the content, it's what people see and what people hear. So if we think about content, you want to keep it so that, okay, this is one that's really big. I was just thinking about this now. Really big one is that very often, in general, Japanese people get into a lot of detail and go very long in their communication. So keep it clear and concise is what I would say in terms of content. Think through in advance, if you can, what you're going to say, and just keep it really, really simple. Less is more is something to remember. Okay. In terms of body language, there are so many areas that we could go to here, so I just want to keep it really simple. I would say maybe eye contact is probably the first one I would talk about. So it doesn't mean that you have to be like staring at the person the whole time. You know, it's natural to sort of look away a little bit or look up when you're thinking, but a little bit more intention to have eye contact with people as you're talking. Now I'm doing this, you know, I'm working through video conferencing now. So sometimes I'm looking at the image of Aiko, which is away from where the video camera is. And then sometimes I'm intentionally looking at the video camera. So you'll see that my eyes move a little bit. So when you ask, in fact, you can keep that in mind for if you're doing video conferences. If you want to have more direct contact with the person you're speaking with, look directly into the video camera part. But if you want to just check what's going on and it doesn't matter, then you can check whether you can look at the other person. And avoid looking at yourself as much as possible. But yeah, in terms of normal face-to-face communication, you want to just be able to look people in the eye a little bit more than might be comfortable for you. And that's important because when people look you in the eye, it's a sign that you're recognizing, the person is recognizing you. And it also demonstrates more confidence. So the third one was about voice. Well, so the pronunciation is your area of expertise, right, Aiko? So that's one
Yes.
thing that people can think about. I'm just thinking one of the biggest areas that I see, and this is different because it's really different for everybody. One area that I see quite often is volume is a challenge. So, and especially if you're feeling a little not so confident, the volume tends to go down, and then it's more difficult for the person to hear. And so they're looking confused, and then you're thinking, oh, they don't understand my poor English, but it's not the English at all, it's the volume that's the problem. So maybe that's one that would be, for a lot of people, is just check your volume. If you are someone who naturally has a strong voice, that's great. You may want to look at a little bit more sort of variety in the volume as you're speaking, because that, especially if you're presenting, that makes it your communication more interesting, engaging for people.
Wow, thank you. Wow, in this video, it has like so much information. So people might want to like take a note and then like try to do like one by one, and then it'll become yours, right? Wow, thank you, Helen. That was like really, especially voice projection is so hard for Japanese people because, you know, Helen, you live in Japan, so you probably understand that Japanese culture, like in public, we're trained to speak quietly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a huge challenge for Japanese to project our voice in English, so that like it's a lot of work, but it's possible. And so, you know, I hope that like a lot of viewers start projecting their voice more in English. Yeah.
And just do it, you know, little by little. It's not that you have to have a huge booming voice right from the beginning. Just little steps with everything, just taking little steps to improve and just keep doing it, and you just keep getting better.
Wow, thank you. So if people want to learn more from you, where and how they can connect with you?
All right, so my biggest recommendation right now is, and especially if you want to improve your English, is listen to the Sasuga podcast. Okay, so I started a podcast in January of, if you're watching this as released, it's 2019. And it's so much fun for me. I release this every Monday. Sometimes it's me talking and sharing communication tips, and sometimes I'm interviewing inspiring guests. And you'll always get something, because you're learning what I share in terms of content, but you're also listening to the English as well. And so a lot of my clients now use this on a regular basis, and they'll listen to it multiple times. As I said, repetition is the mother of all learning. So I strongly recommend that. The
Thank you.
Podcast, you can find it on iTunes and other podcast players.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put the link here so that people can check it out in the description box. And then also Helen is author of the book, which is in the wall, 英語の仕事術. So you can check it out too. The book is for business people.
Yeah.
Because 仕事術, so if you want to improve your business skills in English, then that book will definitely be help.
And you can see, I don't know if you can see the chapters, 5 chapters on listening and questioning, on presentations, on conference calls, facilitating meetings, and dealing with conflict. So those are the big, I'm going to put that down there, those are the big areas of communication that you use in corporate communication.
Wow, thank you. It's so good that we have a lot of resources right nowadays.
Exactly. Like, you're so lucky. Seriously, going back to my early days of learning Japanese, and I had this massive, it was this thick, a kanji dictionary, paper dictionary that I had to carry around with me. I had one textbook. It was really hard to get hold of anything else.
So yeah, nowadays we have we have internet, and podcast is a great tool to learn language, and also books. Yeah, so I hope that we can take advantage of the technology we have. Yeah, so I'll put all the links in the description box, so you can check out Helen's website and the podcast and the book, so that I hope that a lot of people can learn from you.
Definitely. I would say actually another area that you can think about is online communities are a great way to practice communication, and also get to know people. So that would be another one. And I have an online community called the Sasuga Circle, so maybe I'm going to include a link to that too.
I will do that. Yeah. Wow, thank you, Helen, for sharing so many tips today.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So so thank you very much for watching this YouTube, and if you like this, please subscribe to my channel, and of course please check out Helen's podcast. All right, so thank you everyone, and see you again. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.